After fans mess up his segment, Live's Mark Consuelos jokingly demands that the crew escort audience members out. On Wednesday's broadcast of the morning show, Mark and his wife Kelly Ripa competed in a game of Grow for It Spring Trivia. Julie Stutz of Texas joined Mark and Kelly on the phone to play the game. Julie's two statements, which the couple had to determine whether or not they were true or untrue, were that she won airline tickets for her honeymoon while working at a travel agency, or that she won $500 in a cash grab box game. "There are some ladies in the front row who are very invested in this," Kelly observed halfway through the game. "Yes?" Mark inquired, leaning closer to see who Kelly was referring to. The couple then said together, "Oh, you're from Texas, so you're saying that travel show never happened?" Kelly inquired, "Because you were shaking your head no and staring at me and saying, 'No, no.'" The camera pans to the audience, which laughs at Kelly's observations. They suggested that Mark and Kelly go for the cash grab. Mark was doubtful of Julie's suggestion of 60 seconds to get $500 throughout the talk. Julie said she won her honeymoon tickets at a travel agency show when the truth was revealed. That meant Mark was at a loss for words. Mark looked over at the women in the audience, jokingly pointing toward the exit. Get him out," he joked, waving his hand. Kelly couldn't stop laughing. "Ma'am, you're gonna have to leave," she quipped as she threw her head back and laughed. The pair continued the quiz game with Julie as she continued to play for additional rewards. "Come on, Dad." Meanwhile, Mark admitted he embarrassed daughter Lola when Nick Jonas stopped by to use the bathroom at the family's home. As with most of the morning shows the day after the Met Gala, Kelly and Mark were discussing the event on Live. Kelly brought up how close she and Mark lived to the Met. Mark had a story to share about his proximity to the area. "The Met Gala and the museum is close to our house, and one of my buddies, Nick Jonas, was on his way to the Met Gala, and traffic was crazy." Kelly interrupted her husband for a moment to make fun of him threading Nick's name in for a name drop. Mark laughed and continued his story. "He was stuck in traffic, and he said, 'Hey man, do you mind if I use your bathroom? I'm on my way,' and I said, 'Please, stop by.'" The audience had a chuckle at the visual. He then mentioned daughter Lola, 21, in the next part of his story. "Now, Lola was probably a sophomore or a junior in high school," he said. Kelly corrected Mark that she was likely a freshman, possibly a grade schooler at the time. Mark kept going. "She came home from school, she wore sweatpants to school, she had gym class the final period, she didn't like gym class. She was in a disarray and I knew Nick was gonna come to the door. So I was sitting in the kitchen and Lola was telling me about her day at school, and I say, 'Hey listen, there's going to be a delivery at the front door, if you can get it for me, please answer the door.'" The audience knew where this was going and laughed at Mark's devious plan. Kelly said Lola was a huge fan of the Jonas Brothers since the beginning. Laughing, Mark went on with his story. He said he told Lola to get the door when the doorbell rang and it was probably Amazon. He continued, "She walks over and she opens the door and behind the door is this beautiful, shiny, dazzling Nick Jonas. He goes, 'Hey, Lola,' Mark said, putting his head down in mock embarrassment for Lola. She goes, 'Hi Nick,' as he recalled his daughter's embarrassment. And she turns around and she looks at me and says, 'I'm gonna kill you.' Mark told her to show Nick to the bathroom and told her to guard the door. She instead ran upstairs. 'She's never forgiven you for that,' Kelly joked, mad at Mark. Meanwhile, a live guest warned Mark to be nice to her so she could win a mug during the show's trivia segment. Kelly and Mark played the Grow for It Spring Trivia event on last Friday's episode of the morning show. A bit later in the game, they welcomed a guest named Christine Early from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho to play the game. Both hosts explained how to play to Christine. She would provide two statements, one that's true and one that's false. If Christine stumped Kelly and Mark, she would get a mug. Christine had been watching when the previous guests played. She knew that Mark hadn't helped the contestants win their mugs. Before her turn began, she warned, "You be nice, Mark, I really want this mug." Kelly couldn't stop laughing. She said through her giggles, "Christine, I really want you to beat Mark. This is just a fun game," Mark joked, clearly defensive. They then went on to play the game. Christine eventually received her mug. "Just for the record, Christine, this does not go against my win-loss record," Mark said at the end.